Come on, Soda Pop, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on.
It should be a lot of good things to discuss. However, you also have the opportunity, if you want to come forward now, if there's an item that's not on the agenda, any topic involving your town, come on up, and you've got up to 5 minutes to speak. The only thing that we'd ask you to do is just state your name for the people of this city. Would anybody want to address the council? Welcome.
Scott Erisman, Sioux Falls. Happy birthday, Greg. What a way to celebrate 50th birthday at a council meeting. Let the party begin, right? Anyway, I got something else I'm going to talk about, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what I witnessed at the informational meeting today. It was about the pavilion, and they're not selling individual memberships anymore. I was the person who called Councilor Staggers and Councilor Jameson about this because I got an email last night from a friend who's been getting an individual membership from the pavilion for years, and she was concerned about discrimination. We didn't really talk about the ticket thing, but I know that Greg called Larry for me, and they talked a little bit about the tickets. I think it's great that Larry Toll's going to come in and explain this to you, because I have a lot of questions about it and seem that it's kind of weird. But there are some things I want to clarify, because there was 3 counselors that spoke, and I just want to clarify some things. Dean Karski said that we hire a management company to run the pavilion, and we kind of let them do what they want to do. You have to realize we own the facility, the taxpayers do, and we subsidize it every year. The taxpayers should be very concerned about what goes on in the building. We just don't hire a company and just let them do whatever they want to. Michelle mentioned that we want them to make money, and she's right. But I want to remind everyone, the pavilion has never been in the black without the subsidy, ever. So, yes, we want them to make money. And the last thing I want to talk about is the main concern why I was contacted about it, is discrimination. And Rick said that there might be a thing where the individual memberships weren't selling well, so they stopped doing it. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're discriminating against 100 people or 1 person, it's still discrimination. It's a publicly subsidized facility, and they should not be discriminating against single people, period. When I worked there, we had to go through ADA training, and what ADA training is about is how you treat people with special needs and how they deserve to be treated. And never once were we ever told that, it depends on how many ADA people are here or the way you treat them. No. 1 or 100. So I hope Larry can explain a little bit better what's going on with that program and why they got rid of the individual memberships, because it really is discrimination against single people. But I wanted to talk about something that was brought up in the informational last Tuesday. Kermit Staggers asked the financial director, Tracy Turbeck, about salaries in Sioux Falls. And Councilor Erickson was able to find the personal medium income to be $50,700 a year on the State Department of Labor. So I did a little digging, and the first thing I tried to establish is what is a living wage in Sioux Falls? Now that varies in Sioux Falls, or in the United States. It's between $15 and $20 an hour. This is hourly pay, 40 hours a week. So I went around and I did some more searching to determine what would Sioux Falls be in that range. And I came up with $16 an hour is what you'd have to make a living wage in Sioux Falls, and that's for an individual. And this means paying your way, paying for your food, paying your rent, paying all that stuff. No extras. This is a living wage. It's believed that 53% of Americans do not make a living wage. We're a little bit better in Sioux Falls, and I'll get to that in a moment. So after I determined what the living wage is, which is $16 an hour, I went to the Department of Labor MSA statistics, and the best I could get was December of 2013. They determined that Sioux Falls had 140,000 workers. 42% of them made under a living wage. That's 59,000 workers in Sioux Falls make under a living wage. What really shocked me, though, was that 27,000 of those 59,000 made 50% of the living wage, and the living wage is $33,280 a year. That astounded me. I don't know how anybody can live off of half of that. city council, actually, part-time elected officials make more than that a year. What really shocked me was we always like to brag about hospitality and restaurants in this town. Hospitality was actually the lowest paying wages in the city, very low. I think we have a lot of work to do. I think the 42% number is good, I mean, compared to the national average of 53%. But when we look at unemployment, we got to look at the bigger picture here and what are people making and how much money they're making. You know, I heard the other day that the George McGovern school out there, 85% of the kids that go to that school are on free or reduced lunches. It's great that we have a low unemployment rate, but we really need to work hard on better wages and getting everyone up to that $16 an hour. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Folks, would anybody else want to address the council? Welcome.
Bob Kolbe, Sioux Falls. Here to say something about public transportation, but before I would congratulate Councilman Jameson on his 50th birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish, it's been so long ago for me, I can almost remember it. I wish I were there, knowing what I know today. I could maybe not make some of those mistakes that I did. But I'm here about public transportation. The reason public transportation does not work is we are enamored with the car, an automobile, and we make it easier for people to get around our community with automobiles. And any successful community that has public transportation does not concern itself with the automobile. They concern themselves with public transportation. So they have buses and trolleys. You know, and we predicate all of our planning on gasoline automobiles, and we hope to be here long after automobiles are an anomaly, a collector's item. We have to think outside the box. Maybe we need to think about light rail. We have railroad tracks that go to Del Rapids, Brandon, Hartford, Humboldt, and maybe a light rail track in the center might be something that might work, something that would be a little different, and it goes in all directions from Sioux Falls. I used to think that Sioux Falls would never have a subway because we have rock. But then again, I was in Stockholm, Sweden, and they have rock as dense as ours, and they have the city on 50 islands, and they have a subway that comes up and serves every one of those little stops on the way. So if the Swedes can do it, sure thing, we ought to be able to give it a go too. And we also have hard rock mining companies in our community, 3 different ones. How about elevated transportation, elevated rail, like Chicago? And you'd say, yeah, but that's Chicago. Do you know where Chicago came to visit and check out elevated railway before they built? It was in Sioux City, Iowa. Sioux City, when it was progressive, had an elevated railway system in the early 1890s. I have photos if you don't believe me. So what we have to do is, in our public service, I have a little sign in my shop that I always like to mention every once in a while and give people a shot at. Half of being smart is knowing what you're dumb at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colby. Appreciate that.
Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.